Just a minute. It is indeed the 14th day of October 2025. Good morning and a warm welcome to KBC News Check, especially after I was away for a couple of weeks. But thanks indeed for joining us this moment. I feel refreshed and happy to be back. A lot is happening in the country, so to speak. Maybe we can begin with what is happening today, and then we can look at the political and social sphere in the country. Today we are having KDF Day celebrations presided over by the CIC, that is Commander-in-Chief President William Ruto, and I've seen him in his military fatigue, and I can tell you he looks quite smart in that. There will be in Moi Barracks, Eldoret, famously known as the 9 Kenya Rifles or 9KR in Eldoret. My colleague Farah Yusuf is currently on that bit to just give us a brief of what is exactly we expect as a country and also what we expect to see there in the KDF Day celebrations. We also have the CIA Trade and Investment Conference. We have been speaking with Achola Simon a couple of minutes ago, and they have already started. But on Thursday, the head of state will be officially launching that conference. The Energy Week 2025 is currently underway in Kitui County, and that is ahead of the Mashujaa Day celebrations. So we'll also be crossing over to know what is the last minute preparations in regards to this crucial day in our Kenyan calendar. And for sports fun, Harambee Stars will be taking on some of the giants of West Africa, that is Ivory Coast, in the final 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifier at the Alassane Ouattara Abidjan Olympic Stadium. That match will be live right here on KBC Channel 1 beginning from 10 p.m. Other than that, we also have parliamentary committees. We have the Social and Social Protection Committee, Communications and Information Committee, who are having a number of meetings. And of course, we will be keeping you informed on what is currently happening in the country and beyond. My name is Bentro Enjoy. Thanks indeed for joining us on that. But before I introduce one of my panelists who is already here, allow me just to point out some of the things that have been happening in the political sphere in the country and also the social sphere. Some light at the end of the tunnel when we talk about matters education. CS Migos Ogamba says that yesterday they really had a meeting with the university dons who are currently on strike, and that has paralyzed activity for the over 42 public universities in the country. Well, light at the end of the tunnel on that side, no light on the other side of the tunnel when we talk about the medics strike in Kiambu, as yesterday the health CS Adan Duale asked the governor to address this crucial issue. Remember, health is one of the devolved units. We will be talking about that in a bit. KANU, the oldest party in the country, remember Chama cha Baba na Mama, have agreed to have a working relationship with the ruling coalition, that is the Kenya Kwanza. How does this tilt the balance of scales or the political realignment in the country? And the continuous voter registration that was launched by IEBC at the end of September is currently underway. But something that has been pinpointed in almost all the counties, the numbers of people who are availing themselves for that crucial exercise is not impressive at all. Very far from impressive. IEBC say that they're recording very few numbers. And you might ask, what about the Gen Zs? Indeed, we'll be having one of them here to be talking about that in a bit. So a lot of grounds to cover, but allow me first of all to rope in one of my panelists. He is one of our regular panelists here, Dr. Harun Isaac Hassan, who is a leadership and governance expert. Daktari, karibu sana.
Asante sana, Ben.
It's been a while.
Yeah, for a while. I think we have not had a conversation.
Yes.
But recently I was with your colleague here.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
It's a good thing that in the second hour, I forgot to tell the view that on the second hour, we will be looking at mental health. Yeah. And looking at mental health, you do remember over the weekend, we did celebrate the World Mental Awareness Day, and a lot has to be done. A lot of ground has to be covered, because awareness itself is also a big challenge in our country, and the treatment, the cost, all that, we will be putting them into perspective right here on News Check. Many thanks indeed for joining us. Remember, we are also live on all our social media spaces for comments, suggestions, or even where you are watching us from. we highly recommend that you also check out our social media spaces. Doc, how have you been? And looking at what I've been talking about here, a lot has been happening, and especially when it comes to the political sphere. We'll be looking at some of the things that are happening live. The KDF Day, we'll also be looking at preparations, the last touches of Mashujaa Day, looking at the Harambee Stars, who will be looking at their last match in the FIFA qualifiers, although we cannot qualify, but we need to go out on a strong. But away from that, Daktari, how has the week been in your perspective, and especially last week when we were welcome to the news that KANU is more than ready to be doing business or working with the ruling coalition?
Good morning, everybody. I think the week has been very interesting. And what is very interesting is what you have just mentioned, the fact that the oldest party in the country, the party of Baba and Mama,
yes,
finally has joined or has accepted to work with UDA or Kenya Kwanza government. We take this from different perspectives, and if I may address it on one perspective, is the fact that the leader of that political party, KANU, comes from Rift Valley, and our current president is from Rift Valley. Therefore, the backyard that was earlier on seems to be divided. Now looks like it is a solid force from one direction in terms of political arena, in terms of general perception. And therefore, the story of having opposition from that backyard will be the thing of the past. So I tend to think politically that earlier on assumptions where people thought that Dr. William Samoei Ruto, the President of the Republic of Kenya, will have a very strong opposition from his backyard is gone now. It's no longer there. Then secondly, when you look at how the political tension has been, it has given again signal to our brothers who are on the opposition side. They have been talking about one term. And the issue of one term was purely based on divisions among political giants. And as the president picks on getting more giants on his side, then it diffuses the theory of one time. And therefore, that means then politically also, that has been addressed. Then the third thing that I think we must also look into is, of course, cohesion and reduction of political tensions, which has been often viewed when some of the political heavyweights go on ground and incite the ordinary people. Therefore, when you look at it from all corners, it is a big story. It is something that indeed a gain for the Kenya Kwanza government, and it looks like it's something that has also reduced the hope and perception of the opposition wing. So I tend to think that is one biggest thing that has happened this week.
All right.
Of course, let's not forget our president's beautiful fatigue.
Yeah, the military fatigue.
And that is called
actually,
the uniform. The rank he has is a 5-star general.
Yes.
And it is called Field Marshal. Because there is no any other rank
above
that.
Yeah.
And therefore, as the commander-in-chief, he's Field Marshal. What does it mean to Kenyans, actually? One, it clearly signals that he is not only in charge of the civilian aspect of his rule, but he is also in charge of the security of this country.
And we will be crossing over to 9KR. But there's something that you have mentioned, and Kenya prides itself as having multipartyism and also democracy since we repealed Section 2A early in the 90s. And parties now belong to the people. Let's look at it in the other side. The Baringo people and people who support KANU, they've only heard that Gideon Moi has decided to work with the government. There has been an NDC. We didn't see a National Delegates Conference. We didn't see a meeting or a more or less like what we saw when ODM decided to work with KANU. We even saw some documents being signed. Where does it leave Mwananchi? And more specifically, the Baringo resident who knew that Honorable Gideon Moi will be vying for the senatorial seat in Baringo?
Ben, I think we need to understand the dynamics of our politics. Actually, our politics has nothing completely to do with political parties' ideology. Our politics are based on tribal arrangement or dispensation. Our politics is based on who is having what and why. And what do I mean? I tend to think Gideon Moi was left out by his own people, thinking that if the presidency is from Rift Valley, the people from Rift Valley had no other option other than protecting the presidency they have been given. And therefore, the fact that we always assume we will protect our gains in our political dispensation, it looks like Gideon actually realized that majority of his people who are opposed to the whole thing before 2022 election, because of his interest then, has shifted to the larger interest of the region, where now the president comes from their region, and nobody will want to lose that, even if you are not getting anything out of it. The shadow of that presidency will navigate most of the things for the people from Rift Valley. The president comes from our backyard, meaning it means a lot. And Kenya, where people are defined by tribes, people who are defined by identity of how they look, and people who are defined by religious affiliations, means that if, for example, for lack of a better word, the president might not be representing his people, but Kalenjins are there to protect that presidency. And the fact that Gideon Moi comes from that backyard, his defendants might have gone. Similar to when Uhuru was and Kibaki was in Central, you have never seen any major opposition coming from Central region, or even the mountain. Let's call it the mountain. So this is the tradition of this country, where we must protect our own when we are in power.
Yes,
so
and
people
still
protect
on the same,
power.
and
so
still
I think
protecting them.
There are few people with different descending opinion, where they think that it is good to do things through the procedures. For example, national delegates of the party will have declared that move so that they see elements of democracy being practiced. But again, is democracy in our country really democracy? We have it in books. We talk about it.
Yes.
But we rarely practice democracy.
Yeah, because
most
some people
of it, there are quite a number of negotiated democracies, they call it, but those are not democracy.
Yes.
Those are negotiations, and sometimes people are suppressed. For example, get to Banissa by-election. You know, the will of the people of Banissa have different wish, but the political heavyweights decided to sell out the seat from a candidate who was more stronger to a candidate they felt is appropriate because he is compliant with their political theories, and taken this particular person to the president, meaning these particular people who are supposed to be elected through the democratic way will be suppressed because people are shown authority. So it is unfortunate that some steps that we do have replication of replicative effect on the people whom we represent. And therefore, I think democracy is at stake when we get to Kenya. But when we get to the documentation of democracy, of course we are proud
Because some people
region.
are reading personal interest in this, because the day that he was supposed to present his papers is when he was a no-show, you know. If at all we have to get into an agreement with Dr. Hassan, with my party A and your party B, I need to involve the people that support the party. We need to support the national delegates as well. But here we just saw them, the photos now started speaking more than 1,000 words. We then saw them the following day. They met in Kabarak, just to show us that indeed that deal was.
Then that exactly explains why we think we do not have political parties. We have parties owned by individuals, and they could call the shot. Even when nominations occur, have you ever seen a proper political party elections nominating candidates for positions when there are 3-4 candidates who have shown interest in vying using a political vehicle that is of their interest? So it is the owner of that political party that gives or that makes the show, meaning that if he doesn't want you, regardless of your political strength, he does not see necessary for you to take that ticket. So similarly, Gideon Moi has owned or inherited KANU party from his father, the late Moi, and thinking that from the father to the son is already a family affairs. It has nothing major issues with delegates. And therefore, when you look at issues of delegate, meaning then you want to sanitize the process, if you want to ride over that. But sometimes you will realize that people will have their own interest, and when their interest supersedes that of the party, then they will always do what they usually do. And what Mheshimiwa Gideon Moi did is the things to be done. And it's not only that political party, it's many of them, all of them basically. We don't have a political party that stands with its principles, its manifesto, and its constitution. And the moment you don't respect governing constitution of an institution, then that institution becomes irrelevant in the face of all other people.
Doc, you've talked about Banisa, and I will talk about Mbeere North, because actually on leave, I happen to hail from Runyenjes constituency, which actually we border with Mbeere North. And I can tell you from my place to it's a few kilometers, and I've seen how the campaigns are being conducted. Now that we have seen some of the political realignments very early on, before even the by-elections, how is this going to change the landscape of what we expect next month, that is the by-elections?
Largely the current by-election will be dominated by the ruling party. And you will realize that people will be voting in two horse race, the political party wing and the opposition one, or the person who is dominant in the political, not political party, in the ruling party, and the person who is dominant in the opposition. The rest will be just there. But now, what is very important that should be noted is the fact that even if the political parties gang up against the ruling party, the likelihood of the ruling party using their ground strength, the current system, is very high. Because you know there was the Gen Z issues which has came up and which showed that the dislike for Kenya Kwanza. And then all of a sudden now the president has started bringing up issues that will going to clear up that perception. And then people have that, particularly from the mountain, people have that, opinion that they have been isolated outside the government, and yet the government was theirs. Therefore, that force is likely to push the voters, the voters like, and that's how they will going to think that they should be voting through that line, either punishing back the government of the day, so that they communicate to the government of the day that even if we elected you before, then we do not want to elect you again back because you have betrayed us. And those are the narratives that the oppositions are driving, particularly from the mountain. So we will wait and see if that race or that horse will continue, and we will see who will going to win. But as usual, it is a tough race, particularly in that region of the mountain. It's a tough race, unlike other places where people might take it easy a bit. Yes.
And we wrap up this KANU government working relationship. We saw when ODM decided to cross the bridge and join government earlier this year. We saw some dissenting voices, and we have seen dissenting voices who are ODM members, some even are MPs. Are we likely to see the same in KANU? Because this decision was not, more or less, it was not a party decision. From what we have seen, it was not a party decision, because party decisions, you have to call the delegates, and you also have to agree. Just like we have seen ODM and the ruling coalition do.
Yeah, in every deal, there's a payback. And therefore, we expect a payback for Gideon Moi to happen. And most likely, there are two things which are likely to happen. One, we are likely to have a reshuffle of the cabinet, either dropping one cabinet member or restructuring the whole cabinet, current cabinet, and finding a way to drop one and introduce Kibaki, not Kibaki, Gideon Moi. Secondly, because the government has already appointed the maximum required slot for cabinet, they're likely to again add maybe, what do we call, the prime cabinet, deputy prime cabinet secretary position, and introduce that to that slot to be given to Gideon. Thirdly, they may want to split the prime cabinet secretaries and the foreign affairs position and leave Mudavadi to continue with his position as prime cabinet secretary, and then what is his name, Gideon, to be given cabinet secretary for foreign affairs.
It's a good thing that you brought that issue, because I would want us to also look at that, because in any political formation, we've seen ODM members of parliament becoming CSs. Now, what do we expect when it comes to the KANU? But